Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut. The amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, the Hut, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2. And hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So, I haven't been able to do this video. I've been feeling well. But I've been wanting to sort of laugh at the predicament that the Atlanta Braves, the Boston, Milwaukee, Atlanta Braves find themselves in. And it can't happen to a better organization. Prior to 1991, they were the worst franchise in baseball. They only won one World Series in, over 100 years, almost 100 years. And that was in 57. And they couldn't hold on to Milwaukee couldn't hold on to that team. They had great players like Hank Aaron and Joe Torre and of course, Eddie Matthews and Warren Spahn. They couldn't hold on to those guys. So they let them walk. The Braves are one of these teams that they're chameleon. But now the last 30-something years, they've been successful. But whenever I can have my opportunity to slam them as a Mets fan, I will do it. I would also continue to say that Chipper Jones naming his kid Shea, I always felt that was very disrespectful. I still believe that. I think that's a slap in the face as a Mets fan. And no Mets fan should ever cheer him in a nice way. I thought it was very derogatory, and I still feel that way. That's never going to change. But they've been inundated with injuries, suspensions, and they haven't won a game yet. So it's fun time here in New York. Now, the Mets have gotten off the sluggish start, but the hitting's going to kick in. And once Francisco Lindor picks up the pace, that offense is going to start clicking big time. But let's start up at the top. Profar, the guy they just signed to a big contract, to a contract. The Braves did very little this offseason, to be honest with you. They let a lot of players leave, and now they might be kicking themselves that they let these guys leave. Max Fried signed a big contract with the Yankees. They should have signed him. They let Charlie Morton, he went and signed a small contract with the Orioles. So now they have a lot of injuries now. They had a major injury to one of their players. But let me read you from the MLB trade rumors. Major League Baseball has announced that Braves outfielder Profar has been suspended for 80 games after testing positive for a performance-enhancing drug. Reporter Mike Rodriguez first relayed that Profar was to get a suspension due to a positive test. Jeff Passan of ESPN confirmed that it would be a PED suspension. Profar will be able to return during the season, but won't be eligible for the playoffs this year, as is true for all players in the year they serve a PED suspension. Now, Profar put out a statement, which I thought was the funniest thing I've read and heard. Quote, Braves fans, today is the most difficult day of my baseball career. I am devastated to announce that I have been suspended for 80 games by the Major League Baseball and the Commissioner's Office for testing positive for a banned substance this offseason. This is especially painful for me because anyone who knows me and has seen me play knows I am deeply passionate about the game. There's nothing I love more than competing with my teammates and being a fan favorite. I would mention Marcell Ozuna's on that team too, so he's not so bad. He's more of a fan favorite than anything else. Now I would mention also about Profar. When he was with the Texas Rangers, he was the number one prospect in baseball, and he basically fizzled out. He's been basically a journeyman. He came up as a shortstop. He was signed as a shortstop out of amateur ball. And really, he's only had success in one place, and that's in San Diego. There is no stress in San Diego. I have a great feeling that if a lot of players that played in San Diego played in other places, they would not play nearly as well. You sort of get lost there because there's no pressure there. That's what's so great about being in San Diego. There's not the sort of high energy. And there's no high energy in Atlanta. Nobody cares, But there's nothing I love more. I want to apologize to the entire Braves organization, my teammates, and the fans. It is because of my deep love and respect for this game that I would never knowingly do anything to cheat it. Okay. Well, you did, Jerkson. We know what you did. You don't have to apologize. I did it right. Move on. Now, here's some injury news. So this is, like I mentioned about Max Fried and Charlie Morton. Is Charlie going to retire after the season? He always talks about retirement. He never does. Braves started to undergo arthroscopic surgery as winless Atlanta suffers a loss. It's wonderful. Lopez was placed on the IL after experiencing some inflammation in his thrown shoulder. I mean, I think this is wonderful. Not that he's hurt, but that the Braves get the burn. Atlanta Braves right-hander Ronaldo Lopez will undergo arthroscopic surgery to determine if there's any structural damage to his throwing shoulder. Placed on the injured list on Monday with a shoulder inflammation, is expected to miss several months of action. Now, the worst thing a pitcher could get is injury to a shoulder, more so than an elbow. Because elbows, if you need Tommy John surgery, out a year. But even with that shoulder injury, you could be out for a long time. I mean, shoulder injuries are very, very serious. And they've never been able to sort of, make it easier for the pitchers to come back quicker. So if he were to be out, he could be out the entire season and might not pitch until sometime in the middle of next season. That's how these shoulder injuries are sometimes. Your shoulder is never quite the same from rotator cuff surgery is very, very lengthy, the recovery. And you don't necessarily come back. I'll give you an example. In 1991, Dwight Gooden had to get, not Tommy John, he had to get shoulder surgery in August. And he was having a good year. He won 13 games that year. He had another month and a half to go. He was never the same after that. After that injury, he was never the same. He never threw as hard. His pitches never had the kind of bite that it had prior to that with the curveball and that great fastball that he had. Even post-1988, Doc had a very good fastball, but it sort of just fizzled out after that shoulder surgery. This is from SI. Winless Atlanta Braves on the wrong side of team history in early going of 2025. The Braves, a World Series hopeful this year, are 0-6 at the outset of the season, failing to get anything going offensively. It's such a shame. The Atlanta Braves lost again on Tuesday, this time dropping a 3-1 decision to the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's been a disastrous start for the Braves, who are 0-6 to start the year. World Series hopeful, the Braves have also seen starting pitcher Ronaldo Lopez go on the injured list and have seen Jackson Profar get suspended 80 games. Now, I would mention this is a fan site. There's always a fan that does this SI because they got to get people to write this stuff. So the writer is making excuses. The Braves certainly haven't been done any favors by the schedulers either. Well, not an excuse, which they said is an excuse. They had played 6 straight road games to start the season, with both series being against playoff teams from a year ago. The Dodgers are the reigning World Series champion and are favorites to repeat. Okay, it's the schedule. Then again, the main issue for the Braves has been the offense, which has reached historically poor levels. The Braves are batting .137. The last Braves team to bat that low over any span of 6 games was the 1942 Boston Braves. The only consistent Braves starter hitting over 200 is Marcell Ozuna. Oh boy. The two teams will play again on Wednesday night, with first pitch coming at 8:38. Bryce Elder will take the mound for Atlanta in the place of Lopez, and Blake Snell, oh boy, gets mound for the Dodgers. Oh, they got no shot. They're going to lose. They're going to be 0-7. Oh, that's going to be great. That's going to be wonderful. And I would mention, don't worry. If you're a Braves fan, don't worry. The Braves will figure it out. You know how they'll figure it out? They'll do what they did 3 years ago when they fell behind the New York Mets and were able to play an unholy 800 baseball and do all kinds of stuff that makes no sense, no logical sense. With the trash cans and whatever the F they have to do to get themselves righted, they will do that. We know they've done this before. They did this in 2021 when they basically were a mediocre team most of the season and they chased down a Met team that had 2 major injuries in the second half. So they will find a way to scrape into the postseason. Now, last year they tried to play some nonsense with the rainouts. They thought they'd screw the Mets over, knowing that that there was going to be a rainout with the hurricane back in the end of September. They knew that was going to happen. They did nothing. They tried to screw the Mets and the Met fans, but the Mets finally crossed over that line and finally beat the Braves down in Atlanta. Don't doubt me. The one thing I've noticed about teams that come back in these historic runs, like the 51 Giants, the 2007 Phillies, 2008 Phillies, they just do enough to get themselves in the dance. And we know the historical aspect of the 1951 Giants. They cheated. And there's been all kinds of rumors about the 2010 Philadelphia Phillies that they were stealing signs and all kinds of stuff, which makes me wonder that they were probably doing that in 2007. Because they just did enough to beat the Mets. They just did enough. Just like the Braves did just enough in 2021 and certainly did in 22. You know, all they had to do was, I also would mention about 22. The Mets played the Braves in a 5-game series at Citi Field. Okay? And the Mets beat the hell out of them. Took 4 out of 5 in that series. And the Braves were left for dead. They were left for dead. They were terrible in that series. And the Mets got Jacob deGrom back. They were dead in the water. Then the last 7 games were in Atlanta. Can't tell me there weren't shenanigans going on down there. Who the hell knows what's going on? And we know baseball has done nothing to curtail the cheating that continues to happen in Major League Baseball. Well, you let me know what you think about this video. And, of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut too. I'll see you later.